Welcome to episode 325 of the Game Deflators podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody, here at the Game Deflators podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and we must construct additional pylons in this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
Yeah, construct them we did. We played some Starcraft 64 on the Nintendo 64.
It was a real time. Not much strategy involved, though. So,
yeah.
This week, a survey says more live service games are in our future. Then show me trading and new set details for Pokemon Pocket TCG. And lastly, we take it all home with a brand new Inflation Deflation Challenge featuring Starcraft 64. All this could be yours. Tell them where they can find us, Johnny.
I was not expecting that. You can find us on the GameDeflators.com. You can also find us on social media at Game Deflators on X, at the Game Deflators on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and Blue Sky. We're also on your favorite podcast application, so find us there. You can also find us on YouTube. Hit the little bell if you're watching, so you know when we're on. Go ahead and subscribe, comments, all of that as well. And of course, that's it, right? I think I got it all real quick. Leave us a 5-star review, comments, subscriptions, all of that comes with it. Cool. All right, let's go into our recent pickups. So I had the pleasure of
this was cute.
This is awesome. So it's a little late, but I thought of it after Christmas, and I got a Thumberchod Christmas ornament.
He's so chunky.
Awesome. Yeah, it's so chunky. I like it.
Is it sized enough? Like, could you use it as a mini?
No, it's not that big. It's for comparison, there's my hand.
Oh, yeah, I guess a big dragon would be a bigger mini.
Yeah. Now, maybe if we did like a shrinking
you could use it as a whelp.
Yeah, that could work potentially.
Thumber
but
whelp.
Yeah, I got a good laugh out of that one though. When I saw it, I was like, that is a chunky Christmas ornament. And dude, I'll pull it out again here. The best part is like that little head. It's a big old body in it, like it's all neck.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it. So that was not my only pickup. My other pickup I got was One Up Arcade. A lot of people know they have those stools that are out there for their arcade cabinets, and they're usually themed as different video games. So you can get like Pac-Man and Mortal Kombat and all that. I found a very lightly used Killer Instinct chair. Pretty badass. It's got, I forget the name of the wolf character, but it's got him on there, and it has Killer Instinct written on it. So that is our seat, or one of our two seats. So I'll tell the other one in a minute. For our two arcade cabs, that one did have the adjustable risers as well, the little feet. So got that, and then I was randomly on eBay because I'd been looking on there as well, and there was a seller that had a used one, and it said minor wear and tear from use. I was like, all right, free returns. All right, let's go and check it out. And it was $40 free shipping for full stool, metal, everything, and the padding. So I figured, why not? It's worth the risk, especially with the free returns. So worst case scenario, if it looks like crap, if it's got tears in it, I'll just send it right back, with free shipping.
Did they have good pictures?
There was no pictures. That's the risk I took. Yeah. So I was like, well, that's where the risk was kind of like, if they didn't have returns, technically I could still offer or get a return if it wasn't as described. But I read through a description. It didn't say anything about missing parts. It didn't say anything about tears. It just said like light scratches, which if you're scratching something, like what is light scratches, right? Is it just kind of like standard wear and tear where you can kind of see light scratches? Is it like jagged scratches going through it? I don't know, but they offered free returns on it. I figured, why not? So it's a Pac-Man stool on that one.
Nice.
Yeah. So that'd be pretty cool. I mean, and that one has little risers as well. So it's, specifically for the cabinet that has risers, had an extra 6 inches for feet or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you're sitting at that right height.
Yeah, exactly. So my wife had made a comment the other day of like, man, I wish we really had like stools to play some of these games, so we're not like constantly standing, because she's got a job where she's on her feet all the time anyways. So
yeah,
kind of nice to be able to, if you're going to play some games like that, to sit down and do it. So that's what we did. And yeah, it'll be fun. And our son's been enjoying, I mean, you saw yesterday, he pops up on a step stool and plays, he was trying to play Mortal Kombat and Paperboy, and which was funny seeing him try to play Paperboy. And then every time, your character crashes, like, Dad, it crashed. It's like, no, that's just a preview.
Yeah.
But it works. You're happy. And then he tried to play Centipede, which is interesting as well. So trying to show him the fire button. He's like, no, it's this one. It's like, okay,
There
well,
you
that's
go.
not working, but okay, have at it. So that was the pickups. As far as what I'm playing, I beat Plague Tale Requiem. So that one I completed during my first day of flu this past week. So I played, got 2 hours and then fell asleep for however long. And then I played another 2 hours when I was downstairs and beat it. And it was pretty good. Like overall, there weren't, towards the end of the game, there weren't a ton of glitches as I had been experiencing. And I think I covered that last time. I will say that from a story perspective, it really opened up towards the end and gave you like a really good amount of details to like what the heck was happening, the background behind this whole like macula plague, the relationship between like Hugo and what was happening with that, and then the reasoning for like people wanting to control him and such towards the end. So I thought it was pretty good overall, and then it actually leaves itself open for a sequel.
Oh, yeah?
But not tied to those characters.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty interesting. When I saw it, I was like, huh, that's I don't know how much you care about spoilers, and I'm okay. I'll say it. It's like a futuristic type of setting. Like you can kind of hear in the background like some sort of machine that would be found in like a NICU unit for a child. So yeah, I mean it's kind of, it's got the like if the kid had an oxygen mask and all of that going on, and then it shows the like the black ichor type veins or spreading like on the arm of his baby, and it just kind of cuts there, which is pretty cool. Like so,
Interesting.
yeah, so like a futuristic plague type setting, that's kind of cool. I'd be down to try that out. So yeah.
So was all this just like a dream, or is this like past history and
It's a
then it carries forward, or is it
yeah.
like Animus from
I can
Assassin's Creed?
I can spoil it. I mean, yeah. So if
Yeah, I
you
don't care.
want to play this game and you want to, skip over the next like 5 minutes or so, but basically, the first game takes you through where you just start kind of discovering that he's got control of these rats, and the church essentially wants to like eradicate it. It's from years ago when I played it. And so that kind of ends on this idea of like Hugo and Amicia like escape. He destroys everything of rats, and then they kind of make their way back to their mom, and it's happily ever after, right? The next game, when they open up, they're trying to find treatment for it and figure out like, how do we get rid of this? What's going on? Like, what's the history of it? Like, this has to have happened in the past. He's having these vivid dreams of like this island that he needs to go to, and he thinks that that's a connection. So you eventually make your way onto this island, where you discover that he's not the first carrier of this. There was another carrier prior to him. I think his name was Basilius, and then I forget the name of his guardian, but he had a guardian as well. So they had these parallels between Hugo, Basilius, and Amicia, and then this other guardian that was there taking care of him. Well, they killed Basilius's guardian, and then threw him like hundreds of feet underground, chained up, and there's like all of these like nasty like bubble features of rats in them. And so that's kind of how the plague starts, is through like this amalgamation of like nasty goo and rats that pop out. And so they just kind of flood out because of that. Of course, under the control of the carrier, essentially. And so they learn this about Hugo, and they figure, okay, well, if his protector wasn't killed, nothing would have been wiped out from this plague that had happened years ago. So this new plague that has occurred, and historically in the game, they're like, yeah, there was an old plague, and now there's this new plague, which Hugo controls. They figure, okay, well, if your protector survives, you're fine, right? Well, of course, history repeats itself. They try to kill his protector, Hugo's. They kill Hugo's mom. He goes ballistic. They escape. Everything seems fine. They're going to kind of get out of it. And then the people that were trying to like control Hugo for war and everything find them as they're trying to escape. They make it seem as if they've killed Amicia, and then he goes nuts, and just like the whole world is basically going to be covered in plague and destroyed. And so you make your way to where he's at. It becomes like this supernatural type deal at the end, but you make your way through this like dream state, and Hugo's kind of guiding you along the way to kind of decide what needs to happen. And you kind of come to realization the only way that you're going to stop this plague and stop this from happening again or continuing to happen is if you kill Hugo. And so it ends with her taking her slingshot, and he's like bound up on this tree basically of waves of rats coming out from him because he thinks Amicia is dead. That's what they convinced him of. And so he's lost all hope, right? He has no connection to the world now because Amicia is dead. Well, Amicia is not, obviously. You make your way towards this tree where he's kind of hung up. You get your sling, you kill him, game ends there. Well, credits hit there. Then you kind of go a year in the future. Amicia's living on like this mountaintop and misses her brother and everything else and has a nice little closeout, right? And so after you skip all of that, then it has this like scene of, futuristic setting. They don't show, all they show is an arm at the end. But you see like it has the creepy music and you see the ichor and all that spreading. And then you hear the machine in the background. You're like, okay, clearly that's not something that would be in this medieval
world.
times. Yeah, exactly. It's definitely futuristic. So how far in the future, I don't know, but I'll be interested to play it when it does come out. If it does.
Nice.
I mean, there's no announcements like that said, oh yeah, we're definitely creating this, but I would imagine we'll hear something next year or so. Yeah. So outside of that, I also right after that started a Tale of Paper Refolded. It kind of reminds me of Little Nightmares in a way, the way it plays. So you just control like this piece of paper that's able to use magic to open up doors and such, and then it can kind of origami fold into a frog, a ball, a plane, and there was one other thing. No, that was it. Frog, ball, plane. And you basically can run around as a little character. There's certain puzzles where like you have to use the frog, or you have to use the plane to get across, or you have to use a ball to get into a certain area. You have to avoid hitting water, obviously, because you're paper. So little puzzles tied to that. It's a side-scrolling type game with a little bit of depth added to it in terms of certain levels, but it's predominantly side-scrolling. It feels like
2.5D.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, so you can go into like that 3D type of setting, but it all is like from a side point of view. Which is kinda nice. Yeah. So I finished part 1 of that. There are 3 parts. The game is about 2.5 hours. I think I put in 45 minutes so far.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not too bad. I streamed the first part onto our YouTube, and then of course you can find all the Plague Tale playthroughs on there as well. But for what it is, I was like, well, I got it for Christmas. Only booted up. I wanted to try it. Looked pretty interesting. I'm enjoying it. Was it worth the $15? I would say yeah, so far. So
nice.
Yeah. So that was me. How about you?
So this week, we're not really going to be talking too much about it, but there was that developer direct for Xbox, and they had that Ninja Gaiden Black 2 remaster that came out. That's on Game Pass, so I went ahead and downloaded that. I've never played any of the Ninja Gaiden games in the 3D. I think we played the original Ninja Gaiden on the channel once.
We did, but we also
I couldn't wall jump.
We also played that Ninja Gaiden Z, that one that's
like
futuristic on PS3. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't remember that one. But yeah, I mean Ninja Gaiden's supposed to be like pretty legendary, hard but fun, just action game. So I figured I would just download this, check it out, see if I like it. It's not gonna it's not gonna hurt anything. It's free. I mean, free. Game Pass isn't free, but if it might as well be if you're already paying for it.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. Was it Ninja Gaiden that one we played, or it might have been? Was it
Something else?
Shinobi? No, it might have been Shinobi.
Shinobi.
Let me see.
Okay.
I think it was Shinobi PS3. I don't know.
I haven't played it yet. Anyways, as far as stuff that I actually did play this week, I think last week I said I was checking out a little bit of Final Fantasy X. I kind of put that down and I picked up Tales of Hearts R on the Vita, which is one of the Tales games franchise, which I really like. John, you got into Symphonia, was it last year or the year before that?
I played it last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's tons of those games, just like there's tons of Final Fantasies. I've dabbled in a couple of them before. This one, unfortunately, I looked up, which ones are available on Vita that I might be able to play. This one does not get great reviews. Apparently, the characters and the story aren't the best. I mean, the main guy, his name is like Core Meteor. Is your main character's name? And he has
Core
like a
Meteor.
whole like I don't try, I do kind of like motto catchphrase thing. I don't know. It's not the worst, and I haven't really gotten to the side characters, which can be a really good part of the Tales games. But man, there are certainly a ton of these like little cutscenes in the Tales games. They have a lot of these little like interstitial scenes that aren't like a full-blown cutscene. It's just kind of like a little character window comes up with like a talking head of the characters, and they do kind of like move around and kind of like have not animation, but the boxes have motion and some liveliness to them to give the scene some kind of effect and things like they're fun. But in the first hour of this, it's like I swear every time I take 2 steps, it's got like another one of those scenes that it wants me to play. So it's like sometimes I want to try an RPG or test it out, but a lot of times I don't want to have like an hour of just dialogue before you really get to do much. And sometimes RPGs are pretty known for that.
Yeah, that's one thing that I don't like about RPGs sometimes, but I mean that's the nature of it, right? It's a
Yeah.
major story, and it's not like Plague Tale is 15, 16 hours, right? Is general gameplay on that one, or time to beat it. When you have like a 50, 60-hour RPG, yeah, you should expect a lot of dialogue and a lot of level grinding.
Mhm.
And that's the unfortunate component of it. But as long as that ending and that story throughout the game are nice and crisp, you can kind of offset, you know,
Yeah.
all the other stuff, right? Like it's not too big of a deal as long as it's a good story. And that's why I did like Tales of Symphonia, because the story was actually pretty decent. Wasn't a
Yeah.
big fan of the characters, and the gameplay is not bad, but the story was definitely there. Similar to, you should actually play Star Ocean too. I don't know if you played that one yet.
I haven't really played any of the Star Oceans.
Do Star Ocean 2 if you're looking for a good quality RPG that's gonna
Okay.
have the leveling in that game is very easy. You can actually get, I think they have it on PS4 still as well. So you can pick up the 2D HD remaster thing that they did. I've got it on PS5, otherwise I'd loan it to you. Well, that and you're moving, so you're not going to beat up by the time you
Well,
move.
they have second, what is the Star Ocean second evolution for PS Vita? I'm trying to play
Um,
stuff on the Vita still.
yeah, Second Evolution I think is basically Second Story.
Mhm.
I don't know. I haven't
Yeah,
played that one.
PlayStation Vita port of the second Star Ocean game.
Yeah, play that one. That's a phenomenal story. It's very easy
Okay.
level grind. The characters are very easy to like as well. And you can actually take 2 paths if I remember. You could take the main character, I think it's Cloud, or yeah, uh Cloud.
Bold move.
Yeah. CLA, no, Claude, not Cloud. It's
Okay.
Claude. I don't know why I was thinking Klaus because it's
Mm,
spelled very similar on the way that kind of works out. It's just Claude. So Claude, and then I think it's Rena is the other character, the female
okay.
character, and I believe you could take 2 paths with them. I play it as uh, the Claude path, just because I wanted that type of battle, because she's
Mhm.
more magic user, if I remember, and he's of course sword and such. But yeah, very good game. If you're looking for something to play, I don't remember how many hours I put into it, but you can get up to like, I want to say like level 200 or something.
Oh, dang. Too
I want to
much.
say, well, no, it's very easy leveling though. That's the thing. Like the levels just blow right by, and you
Mhm.
don't have to go to that high of a level. You can be much lower
Yeah.
than that. Yeah, I chose to be that high of a level. So yeah, check it
It
out.
was a decision.
Yeah, yeah. No, you can go much higher. There's like ways to get. I think it's level 300 is the max, if I remember.
Dang.
Yeah, it's been a
Some of
long
those
time
games,
since
that
I
sounds
played.
like a Disgaea. Disgaea, you can just like grind forever.
Yeah, but that's an RPG. It's just well worth the playthrough.
Mhm.
Yeah, couldn't recommend it enough.
Well, that's all I got this week. Not a whole lot going down, so we could go ahead and jump forward, talk about some of this information we got this week. So, GDC's annual State of Game Industry survey reveals that 1/3 of AAA developers are working on live service games. This comes from PC Gamer, Andy Chalk. GDC, the Game Developer Conference, happens every year. You know, all the game devs get together. They've got a conference. They do lots of like talks and showcases. It's an insider event. I don't particularly pay too much attention to GDC usually because it's not, I don't know, it's not like the Keeley thing or, you know, the
It's not as
developing direct that we just got from Xbox or like a
not as
Nintendo Direct.
it's not as consumer facing.
Yeah, it's really more insider. So they did a survey where, you know, they ask, hey, across the industry, a bunch of questions to try to get an idea on what's going on. And yeah, in this year's survey, it seems like about a third of developers are working on live service games, at least in the AAA space. Overall, across all respondents, 16% said they're working on that, which makes sense that it's a lower number. It is kind of like a big company's type of game to be making. There's not like a lot of indie people out there trying to pump out small, you know, team live service projects just because it's a lot to do. Um, and a lot of people were a little bit upset by this news or a little bit taken aback by this news. I know that there's been a lot of recent changes, especially with Sony. We've had a lot of news from them in the past week about shutting down other projects and things that have been in the work. I know there was a lot of general disappointment to learn what was it? Blue Point has been working on a live service game ever since they did the Demon Souls remake for
Like
the PS5 launch, and it's like you could have been making Bloodborne this whole time. And
they could
that's
have
what
been
I've heard
making
like 3 or 4
anything.
people say that.
Yeah, anything could have been made other than a live service game.
And
Look,
I
one
think
third
they were working on a God of War live service, which is even like the dumberest idea.
the dumberest.
Yeah, I mean, there's you got to make a new word for it. It's like, why would
Yeah.
you make a live service God of War game? Like, who's asking for that? That's like,
And then what characters are you playing? Are you playing like as all the
yeah,
gods? Like that's just
no,
stupid.
it's just Kratos and everybody who he's already killed. So
Yeah, that's all.
who you could choose to play as.
Yeah. It's so dumb. Yeah. So one of the other stats you had here, it says, would you want to make a live service game as your next title? 13% said yes. 16% said I already develop live service games. 29% said don't know. And then 42% said no. And
Yeah.
then the measures of live service. So the reason they're wanting to do is 62% believe it offers a stable concurrent user base. 40% see it as daily active users. And then 32% see it as an opportunity to monetize players. So,
Mhm.
so ultimately, what I kind of got from this is there are some parts of the developing industry that feel it's still high risk, high reward that could be tied to it. They want to be the next Fortnite, they want to be the next Apex, but being able to jump into that uh, obviously has its challenges, and not it doesn't necessarily mean a recipe for success. You can have a live service game that has a concurrent player base, but are you going to get to the levels of monetary value that like a Fortnite and Apex Legends, a Diablo 4, like that's bringing? Highly unlikely, given the amount of live service games that are out there today. So
And there's like just enough success to keep motivating the companies to keep pushing for it. I mean, like Marvel Rivals came out and that has been like such a huge success in spite of it being such a like almost blatant Overwatch copy paste. But it doesn't matter because it's got the Marvel IP, which has, I don't know, it kind of given it its own resurgence in a way where like I definitely feel like a lot of people are still kind of in that superhero fatigue kind of mode. Like it's just not been great for superhero movies in the last couple of years or shows. Like it's just at least not for me and people like me that have kind of fallen out of it. but like Marvel Rivals is dope and it's blown up and it makes people want to re-engage with those characters. And it's like, okay, maybe this is where we went wrong with Concord, was that we were trying to make a new IP. Like, how do we get the Dark Pictures Monsters Cinematic Universe live service multiplayer shooter game going? We need to have a team of Draculas and werewolves versus Frankensteins and mummies, and we'll all print money. Like, that's how the brain of these CEOs works whenever they see something like this. So
Did
I
you
mean,
just advocate for a live service Monster in My Pocket?
yes,
Okay.
actually, you know what, that's a much better take on this. Forget the Dark Universe pictures, those never went anywhere. We're going back to Monster in My Pocket. Highly successful. We're going to take on Pokemon and Pow World. We're going to do what neither of them thought that they could do.
I don't know. You would probably be the only concurrent user on that.
Right?
You might be.
Or I could just be the next genius CEO.
Well, I just came up with it, so it's on record.
Co-CEO.
It's on co-CEO. It's on record. Yeah, the other component here is, as far as concurrent player base. One of the downsides here as they're developing this is that those concurrent players expect a slew of updates on a frequent basis, right? New content needs to be developed, new game modes, all of that. And so that kind of puts developers into this situation where they're always working on it, right? It's the one thing that they constantly have to work on. And so that can also be an issue, because if you start losing that concurrent player base and you're still developing new content, well, then you're just losing money at that point. So it is there is a lot of dedication needs to go into making these games. But overall, I don't know, man. I think in the next like 5-10 years, I can't see live service continuing outside of like your core titles that are going to continue, like those free to play games that will have their purchases you can make throughout. I can see that type of stuff still being okay, but if this survey comes next year and the following, I think you're going to see that number continue to dwindle as far as like who wants to make another live service game.
Yeah, a lot of these trends that have happened are kind of starting to tail down a bit. I was just looking at something this morning. Avowed is coming out in like a month or two, and it's not a big giant open world. It has like open areas that you go to, but it's not just like a giant open world RPG. And a lot of people are giving it kind of credit for that already, saying that they're happy that it's not another one of those. And we'll see the same thing here as more of these kind of start to tail down. Those things that like everybody chases, they become less successful over time, and then people want you to go back to just making good games without all the gimmicky stuff in it. Like, just make a really good game, and if people love the online enough, then say, hey, you know what, let's take some of that money, let's reinvest it, let's soup up these kind of like built-in multiplayer modes that we put in here, and now we've earned the right to kind of monetize this. Like, let the player base tell you if your game is worth putting more money and effort into, but just make something good that can stand alone to begin with.
Yeah, I was gonna say, unfortunately, they would still have to pump some sort of money to make sure that it's a good online game to start, and then from there, yeah, continue to pump in some more money. Cool. Well, and then as far as like, because we're doing some live service in a way, right? With Pokemon TCG Pocket, that to me is like the way to go with something like this. Like, are there developers constantly, you know, doing updates? I don't think that would be the case, because they're basically coding in cards, like pre-existing cards, right? Like, or not pre-existing, I guess it's new artwork for the most part, but it's existing assets. There's nothing net new necessarily. It's coming from this. It's existing creatures of
Well,
Pokemon in
not
card
like
form.
patching anything in this either. It's not like we're
Yeah.
getting like updates that are balancing, like Raichu
Mhm.
is at 10 extra hit points, next week than he was
Yeah.
the week before for balancing reasons.
Yeah. And I don't ever see any updates say, oh, well, we've gone ahead and like fixed this bug to do blah, 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 blah. Like, I've seen some updates for the game that have come through. I would imagine those are some sort of patch, but I haven't seen any like developer patches that have come through, or like updates that say, hey, we fixed like these 12 items that have been an issue in the game. Like I never see that for this. So I feel like they're doing this right. And Magic is kind of similar in that respect too, in how they handle Arena. Yes, it's free to play. Both of them are free to play technically. But there are ways to monetize that as a company, and there's not a huge lift on their part from what I see to make this a good quality product for people to enjoy. Hence why we're still playing both of those. Although I haven't played Arena in a while, but that's more so just because I've been busy.
Yeah.
Well, diving into some Pokemon, this week we're actually going to have trading. It's going to be debuting along with 2 new packs that are coming out. So to dive in a little bit, this comes from Polygon. The trading is going to be debuting on the 29th. We're recording on 26th, so you will hear us on the 27th at the very earliest. So trading will be coming to the game. From what we know, 1 star is the highest type of card level that you can trade for, and you have to trade for similar levels. And there are going to be items that are necessary for trading. So there's supposed to be trading tokens as well as trading hourglasses, so you can actually trade cards with your friends. And those would have to be consumed to be able to administer the trade.
I love how much this emulates like real world card mechanics, where every time you trade your friends, you have to pay a tax to the Pokemon company. You remember being a kid and, oh, we got to take this dollar and lick it in an envelope and send it off to the Pokemon company, because they need their cut of the trade that we just made. Heaven forbid we already opened the cards.
Jesus. No, I never did that.
It's so dumb for them to have like not only like a timer, which is the timer, fine. Give it that timer thing like the wonder mechanic, so that you're not just like trading until you've got all the cards.
That's what
but
they're
like
doing.
making it have a resource that you also have to like earn and expend on top of that, it's just more like dumb obfuscation. Like if you have the card, you should be able to just trade it as long as you haven't made 30 trades that day.
Yeah, but they got to make their money, right? So if you put in some sort of
they've
currency,
already made $4 billion or something stupid, I'm sure.
Yeah, they've had 60 million downloads of this game. And then there's some dude out there that spent, I sent you that stupid article.
Yeah.
He spent like
$100 every day since it came out or something.
Yeah, he spent like $10,000 and he has like every card possible. Like, that's just stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just dumb. But if you got the money to spend, I guess have fun with it with a digital card game. I think I've spent $10 on the game.
Are you gonna still pick up a new membership? You were saying like if you did it on January 31st, you'll get the January reward, the February reward, and the March reward.
Yeah, but I had already purchased like the month prior, so we'll see how that goes. I'm probably gonna do like late February is what I'll do. Well, no, I'm not even gonna do February because I already got the February rewards and everything. So no, I didn't. I did January rewards. I'm an idiot. So yeah, I'll probably do late February, and then it'll get me into March as well. We'll see. I haven't decided yet. Depends on what the card is. But I don't mind throwing like $10 towards it. Support the game.
No, yeah, I've done 1 month of the premium as well accidentally, but there's still holes in my collection, so it's like I still can't get a freaking Magneton, and nobody else pulls a Magneton, so I can never get it. I did learn
I will trade you my Magneton.
I think I have 3 on my second file, so I think I'll be able to get one over. I don't have a Vileplume on either file though.
Then I will trade you my Vileplume.
Yeah, I need a Vileplume for sure. And then there's like, I don't know, I was going through, I've got most of the like 1-star art cards, but I don't have like any of the 2 stars hardly, or like the full art like trainer cards or anything like that. Barely have any of those kind of cards at all, and I wish I had more, but it's just like I feel like it's so rigged in what it gives you. Like there's no way it's real RNG. The fact that I've got 3 of the same, like the full art Pikachu, it's like there's no way.
It's those cards has such a low percentage anyways to be able to pull them, but I've got a decent amount of like 2 and 3-star cards as well. But like my brother, he's got a stupid amount. Like his game, I don't know what happened, but every time he does a wonder pick, he gets like a 1-star card. It's
Yeah.
stupid. Yeah.
I did learn that the wonder picks are did I talk about this week?
Yeah.
Last
You
week
did
that they're
last
like
weekend.
pre-recorded? So
Yeah.
now every time I do the wonder pick, I click on the card that I wanted where it was, because it's like it'll either show up in that same spot or it won't. Like it doesn't matter
Yeah.
where you click.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
feels
It's
like they
all.
took something extra away from me, but in a way I'm more comfortable with it now.
Yeah. Right. The just knowing like it doesn't matter at
Well,
that
I
point.
used to swear I'd be able to like follow it and like be like, it's this one. And I did it in front of Zach twice.
Hmm.
But apparently
I
that's just like me getting lucky.
Yeah, the first time I ever did it, I tried to follow it as well, and I was like, "Oh, it's right here," and I got a 1 star, and I was like, "Oh, okay,
Mhm.
so that's what it is." And then I started doing it again, it didn't work. So I figured, all right, maybe it's just
Mhm.
a percentage, maybe it's kind of random, and I started getting them based on that. But then you told me, hey, it's
Yeah.
predetermined. So, but the other thing is, there's 2 new packs that'll be coming out. I saw a Lucario preview, so I think that's in
I don't
there.
think that that's real. I think that Lucario is from the newest like actual set.
I don't know, but it's an advertisement. There's a video that shows it, and then there's 2 legendary
Oh, is
Pokemon
there?
from like Diamond and Pearl that are in there. So like 4th gen Pokemon are going to be coming into play here. I'm kind of confused as to why they did it this way. Like, why not release it as first 151 and then dive in, and now it's your Gen 2, and then it's your Gen 3, Gen 4. Like, I would have liked to see them do that. And then like slowly kind of release these cards over time in that manner. But I mean, maybe that's just me from a nostalgic standpoint wanting to see it kind of
Oh.
done in that way.
No, I hadn't seen this Lucario before. I
Yeah.
don't know how I didn't see it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Attacks
Yeah.
used by your fighting Pokemon do 20 extra damage to your opponent's active Pokemon.
Yeah. So those are your updates. Those 2 new packs come out on the 30th. So look out for those if you're playing the game. Save up your hourglasses and I guess have fun.
Yeah, man, I've got so many hourglasses. I've got like over 300 hourglasses on the one file.
I'm at like 190, I think. That's what I'm at. So
Okay.
all right, let's dive into our inflation deflation. We played some StarCraft 64. It was developed by Blizzard Entertainment, published by Blizzard Entertainment, designed by Chris Metzen, James Finney are the 2 designers on that. It was released on the Nintendo 64, this specific version, obviously, in June of 2000. It is an RTS game as we continue our RTS games. And reception is actually, I was surprised, to be honest, when I first saw this, an 8 to 9 out of 10.
I mean,
Interesting.
StarCraft was just such a phenomenal movement when it happened, and I mean the
But with this,
scores.
But this being on a console is what kinda shocked me, and then we'll go into it, obviously, but
I mean,
yeah.
the thing is, there wasn't a lot of this kind of game on consoles. I mean, I guess we did play Command and Conquer, but you know, as far as the N64, I don't think that there was a lot of other real-time strategy. So sometimes, like, if it's low availability and they do a good enough job, which I think that they did. I mean, there was a
Mhm.
lot of the same kind of DNA that was in this game that was in Halo Wars, and I felt like if I was a kid and I wasn't like didn't have a computer, but I had an N64, this would definitely be a worthwhile way to play this game and experience like what StarCraft was about, although not nearly as, you know, intuitive to control. Like you're never going to
Yeah.
beat a mouse and keyboard for an RTS just as far as ease of access and using the mouse.
Well, let's
So,
see. There were only according to Neo Seeker, you had Battlezone, Rise of Black Dogs, Command and Conquer, Ogre Battle 64. I don't know. I haven't played that one, so I don't know if it's RTS or not, actually. And then StarCraft 64. So you had 4 titles based on this list
okay.
on the console. So yeah, you're right. Slim pickings overall to get an RTS game, and a good one at
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, and I mean, this game in and of itself, outside of being on the N64 when it came out a couple years earlier on PC, I mean, StarCraft is like the legend. Like it's the Blizzard
It's still played.
RTS
It's
that
still
yeah,
played
they
today.
still play professionally in Korea.
Yeah. Yeah, over 20 years later, and you're still playing it.
Mhm.
So for those that don't know what StarCraft is, let's give them a synopsis.
So StarCraft, I kind of put down a not the best synopsis here, but basically it's in the far future. Humanity has taken to the stars and started to spread out. There's a lot of kind of infighting amongst some of these human factions, and you come in at a time in the story where you take over command of one of the human factions, the Terrans, just as the Protoss and Zerg aliens make themselves kind of known. There's 3 separate campaigns. One of the things about this is that the Protoss and the Zerg and the Terrans, they're all balanced and different and very I don't know, very iconic kind of play styles for RTS. So you get a campaign where you play as each of the 3, and a lot of people, chose their favorites. And there's been StarCraft expansions and a sequel, and in the sequel, like kind of each of the races kind of got their own like expansion game for the sequel. But all that really started here, and I don't know. I was always a Terran person when I played a little bit of StarCraft 2 that I played. I think you said you were into the Terran too, right?
Protoss.
Oh, you were Protoss? Okay, that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, Protoss and Zerg are how I got Terran's actually like when I first started playing, I did play Terran because you had the ghost and you could do like the nuclear launches and such, and I
I
just
like the
had fun.
tanks.
Yeah,
I
the
always
tank.
like the
Well,
siege tanks.
that's a staple on Terran is you got to have like big tanks
Yeah.
and such. But well, I mean, for fast players, generally you want to get like some good infantry units. Like you can build those pretty quickly and
Hmm.
take out people pretty fast. Zerg, you have your Zerg Rush and Protoss. I don't know. I just always enjoyed building a bunch of uh, turrets and such and protecting my base and just building a giant airship army
Yeah.
to destroy my enemies. So it was always a good time. But for this game in particular, why I was so shocked about it is because, well, playing StarCraft and knowing hotkeys and all that stuff is
Hmm.
pretty important for the game.
Yeah.
This controlled really well, in my opinion. Like it felt natural to kind of
Hmm.
use and I don't say that regularly with the N64 controller because I absolutely despise that controller. It felt
Yeah.
very natural to use the controller for this game, just because of like the joystick felt like a mouse, and
Hmm.
just it felt very fluid to just go through and select your different pieces of your army and uh and we played Terran, so like selecting your SVC to be able to do different builds and such. It was very noticeable on screen. Like if you select a character or your SVC, it gives the option of like repair, build, and then like move or something, or like go here.
And we didn't even do
um
the tutorials. Like there might be other like advanced clicks or double clicks that can accomplish,
There's
things
probably hotkeys.
easier.
Yeah, there's probably a way to do hotkeys, and we just didn't look into it. But yeah, I mean, it just felt super fluid. And so we did the few missions to kind of get a taste for it. Obviously, we played a lot of StarCraft, the two of us. So we kind of know the overall game and what to expect in it. So this was more about the feel of the game and how
Hmm.
quick we can move through it. And it felt very good with this
Yeah.
title. Like I thought it was surprisingly good for this. Um, but I guess if you've never played StarCraft, which I don't know how at this point, but if you've never played it, it's worth jumping into. Based on those races, very simple. You build your base, you build your army, and then you go ahead and attack other armies that are across, you know, the map that you're playing in at that time. If you're doing campaign, of course, there are different missions and such. I didn't look up, but it's probably something that you could play with multiple people. I would imagine there's some way to
Yeah.
play two
That there's
players.
multiplayer on this.
There is, yeah. So obviously we didn't do multiplayer, but I that would probably be the interesting thing, like how multiplayer would work for this game. I would imagine it's not split screen. No, did you read that?
Um, I'm trying to look through here now.
Well, either way, as you look through it,
Yeah, there is a split screen cooperative mode in the 64.
okay, interesting. Yeah, that's super interesting. Like I don't know how you would. That's a lot of real estate is needed for
You
this
need
game.
the expansion pack to run the Brood War missions.
Oh, they have broodborn missions
as
on
well.
it too.
Yeah, so I guess it has some of the expansion content in there. I mean, it was pretty good release, I guess. I definitely remember hearing about this game like back in the day, but I had no idea what StarCraft was, so it was not something that I ever really gravitated towards getting or renting. And I don't know, the more I look back at myself as a kid, if I rented this game, I would have had no idea what was going on or what to do, I'm sure. So
I honestly did not know StarCraft had a 64 release until probably 12 years ago.
yeah.
Yeah. No, probably longer, maybe about 15. Um, so and that's obviously well past the time frame in which it was released to begin with. And that was into collecting as well. That's actually when I learned about it, was when I started collecting, because it's just not something that I would have thought would have been on console at that time. And
Well,
apparently
be
it was.
glad you picked it up when you did, John, because
I did.
prices are not looking great on this one, folks. So complete in box, that'll run you 286.54. That peaked back at 377.80 in August of 2022. That's currently trending up. A loose copy that'll run you $96. That is peaking now in January 2025 and is rising. But good news is you can always go online and get the original StarCraft for free at battle.net on your computer. So probably the best way to play this. I don't think anybody would really recommend necessarily, oh, John's going to get his battle chest.
Hold on. Yeah. Hold on a sec. People are going to see me crawling on the floor here to get this.
I think John's grabbing the classic StarCraft battle chest, which is, yeah. Oh no, okay, that's just the original StarCraft. I remember they used to have like the battle chest one that had like the Brood War expansion and everything. It was in like a slightly bigger box. I always remember staring holes through these boxes at like the Circuit City or wherever we were at.
Yeah. Always a favorite of mine. Like, buy this title, get 2 free. So they used to have these like discounts. So that's actually how I have. I've got Lords of Magic and Icewind Dale over there.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I picked up this game, those 2 were free as well.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I do have a strategy guide too. I should have grabbed it as well. I'm not going to go back over there, but yeah, I do have a StarCraft strategy guide. But this one, content-wise, back then, this is my original copy, by the way. So this came with, of course, your CD case. Oh, this is a Lords of Magic reference guide. And it had this nice manual. PC games always had like
a thick manual.
Yeah, thick, fantastic manuals that came with it. So really cool artwork throughout. Goes into all the different
I wonder
ships.
what the manual that came with the 64 looked like.
I don't know. But this one's pretty sick. It's got a lot of good stuff in it. So, yeah. And of course, that's all that's in that box. Those few items. I'm sure there was more fluff, and I just threw it away when I was younger. But I'm kind of happy I kept these when I did.
Yeah.
It
looks just like the regular manual. It's kind of that classic, like yellow with the N64 in the background.
Yeah.
Just the logo on the front for StarCraft 64. It was a good game. I definitely can't recommend it for the price though. As well as the fact that, the PC is just kind of the better place to play it. So I don't think that there's any way around labeling this one as inflated.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so, man. I think if you can get it for free and play it on PC, it doesn't exactly take a lot of your PC to play this game. And you have the ability to play online with friends. I think it's the way to go. So still unique, though, and a really cool experience overall to play this on the N64.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely worth checking out if you've already got it in your collection and you haven't touched it before.
Exactly. What is our next game again?
The next game and the last game in our strategy games is going to be Goblin Commander. I believe that's for the PS2.
Yep, that's on the PS2. So we'll be playing that next week. All right. Until then, this has been episode 325 of the Game Deflators podcast. My name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening.